Fortnite just released its brand new tactical shooter, Ballistic. But is it any good? Well, in this review, I'm here to tell you if I think it's any good, if it has potential, and even if I think you should play it. So, should you play it? No, at least not right now. Don't get me wrong, the game is fun, and it has quite clearly taken a lot of inspiration from Counter-Strike, so if you're into that, you might also like this. And the things that it has taken from Counter-Strike, it has also improved upon. But there's quite a few factors that the game just doesn't get right as of right now. And of course, the game is in its alpha version, so these things are expected to change over time. But this review is for right now, and if you could replace it with whatever tactical shooter you're playing right now and make it your main game. The gameplay loop is exactly as you would expect. Two teams battle each other in 1 minute and 45-second rounds. The first team have to get a bomb off, the second team have to make sure that the bomb does not go off. And that's it really. It's a true and tried concept that works well for any tactical shooter. With the game mode being in Fortnite's universe, there's a lot of things that comes along with that. And the first thing is graphics. The graphics is, as you know and would expect them from Fortnite, it's all cartoony, and there's a lot of silly dances and the skins is over the top. This is not necessarily a bad thing, I for one like it, but if you're more into a super realistic shooter, Counter-Strike would probably be a better choice for you. Because it is in Fortnite's universe, there's also the in-game shop. And this is debatable. You know, on one side it's good to have the ability to customize and choose whatever skins and weapon camos that you would like. The bad thing is it all costs money. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no real way to obtain any of this without getting your wallet up. That's a bad thing. Of course, if you, as I do all the time, compare it to Counter-Strike, you don't have to actually gamble here. So, it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Okay, let's get to the meat of the review. There's 5 key parameters of which I'm going to review the game upon. The first being core mechanics. Then we'll look into movement, sound, maps, and polish and ranking. Core mechanics. So, we already talked a little bit about the main gameplay loop. You see a guy, you shoot a guy, you plant a bomb, you defuse a bomb, and you do it several times until one of the teams have won. That's very similar to Counter-Strike in its way. And it has also taken a lot of inspiration from Counter-Strike with its economy system. You start with 800 currency, just like Counter-Strike, which you can then spend on either armor, frags, or perhaps a deagle of some sorts, right? That's all good. You can accumulate this money by either getting kills or having a round end, where winning a round gives you more currency. You can keep on accumulating this money until the rounds eventually swap. The team swaps. So instead of having to plant the bomb, you now have to defuse the bomb. Now, the rounds being this short, 1 minute and 45 seconds long, actually does something very well for the game. The games never feel dragged on, and you always feel incentivized to keep pushing. This is very, very good. It creates good flow where there's not just, 2 people sitting on either side of the map, camping, and everyone else who just died in the beginning have to sit and wait for very, very long. It never feels like that, and that's very, very impressive, because these tactical shooters can become somewhat boring unless you're top fragging and the guy ending it all every single game. And this is really done well. And I think it's also very complemented by the movement system, which we're gonna talk about now. The movement is really the main star of this game. It's fast, it's fluid, and it's fun. In a way, it's a lot like Call of Duty. If you're good enough, you could run over, slide through a corner, headshot some guy camping, and continue on running. That is, if you're good enough, of course. Because unlike Call of Duty, your aim is actually heavily diminished once you're moving. Very much like Counter-Strike. But not so much that you can't actually shoot while you are sliding around. So it creates this really good balance of being more tactical and calculated and just running and gunning. And I must say, these games that I've played, there has always been a situation where it would be better to either run or to, take it more slowly. So that's something this game does tremendously well. And once we get out of the alpha stage and they have time to refine this system, I think it's going to be a game changer, and that's really the reason why I like it over all of these other shooters. It feels rewarding to play it calm, but it also feels rewarding to just yoink it. Really, really good. Really, really good. Now, let's not talk about jumping systems just yet, because yeah, they need to work on the jumping, that's for sure. I should also talk about the weapons. They feel very alike. The shooting pattern is similar, the way they sound is similar, and they all look the same. They look identical. It's crazy to me. This really is one of the reasons why I cannot recommend this as your main shooter. It's just not diverse enough. I'm sure this will be taken care of once we move from the alpha to the main product, but yeah, as of right now, the weapons really is nothing to celebrate. The sound of this game is my first real pain point. I don't think it's very good. Now, the first thing is the guns. They don't sound very good at all. It's like they're missing kick. It feels very flat every time you shoot, and it does so with every single gun. The guns doesn't sound, too different either. You can hear the difference of a gun that's silenced and a gun that's not silenced, but that's pretty much it. Usually I use these big headphones that has a lot of bass, and it's like it doesn't exist in this game, and that's a little bit sad. Now, it could be because they want to keep it cartoony, keep it in the universe. I haven't played a lot of Fortnite, so I don't know if the guns are usually like this. But it takes some of the immersion off. That every time you take a shot, it feels like you're shooting, a glass ball or something like that. It's not very immersive at all. The second issue with sound is the footsteps. They're very loud. And yes, they are too loud. You can almost hear someone running from the other side of the map. It's not good at all. Because it takes away from this balance. We just talked about how the movement, really complements, both the run and gun tactic, but also the more stealth-like tactic. The sound just completely ruins that. It is not viable to run and gun simply because of this. The other guy would hear you coming from a mile away. So the only thing you're really left doing is sneak up on people. Now, of course there needs to be footsteps, and you need to be able to hear if someone is springing up upon you, but they need to greatly reduce that area of where you can actually hear that guy's footsteps. If they reduce it by, I don't know, 70%, I think it's good. I think it could be really good. I will say, however, the footsteps sounds a bit distorted, so you can definitely hear direction, but it's difficult to really hear the difference of, okay, is it here or is it here, but you just know it's like sort of down that road. Now, that's also, I think it's a good thing as of right now because of the footsteps are just this loud, but I would prefer if they would just greatly reduce the area of which you can hear someone and then just make it a bit more precise. Because if you give the person that's listening less time to react, but make it more precise, it's going to be more of a skill issue, right? Then you have the ability to really become good at learning and listening, like all the pro players does in every single tactical shooter, and then it's gonna be just fine. The map in this game is okay, and yes, map, there is only one. The game is still in its alpha version, so more maps are being developed right now. The one map we do have though is very good. It's quite unlike every other map from every other tactical shooter, where it's built upon a 3-lane principle. There's nothing wrong with this, it's tried and true and it works. What differentiates this map though is that it has shortcuts to either the side lanes where the bombs are positioned. This is a good thing, because it creates a bit of uncertainty and surprise element. You will never know exactly where your opponent is gonna be. This is done very well. Now, personally, I think the map looks a little bit bleak, a little bit boring. It's very Tokyo City inspired, which is not a bad thing. I feel like I've just seen it by now. It's been pushed a lot. What this map also have is a lot of safe areas in a way. It's small creeks and places where you can tuck yourself in and not actually have to worry about getting shot in the back. This is good. You can use these spots to oversight the bomb. You can use it to take an enemy by surprise. But they're also very high risk, so it's high risk, high reward. This really is great gameplay design. You don't have to worry about getting sent back, but people will look there first, and you can be certain the frags will go there. They will. This brings me to the last segment of this review: polish and ranking system. Now, this segment might be a little bit unfair. Sure, the game is in its alpha version, and it should also be judged as if. But you can play it right now, and this review really just seeks to answer if you could use this as your main shooter, so I think it's still relevant to bring up. But the worst part of it is really the lack of lever mechanisms. Because I don't think I have played a single game where we have been 5 versus 5. It's very often 4 versus 5, and, you know, even more often 2 versus 5. You know, 3 people see that, oh, okay, this is not even a match, I'm just gonna leave then. And then there's 2 people that's not gonna leave, and then we just get obliterated, right? That's not fun. Now, I don't have the answer here. I really like the way Counter-Strike have done it, where you just get a bot. So if you just run in with an SMG and die, you can take over the bot and still play. In that way, you're not going to be totally screwed as long as you are yourself good enough to carry. But it is difficult when you're sitting on a bomb site and 5 people is rushing you all by yourself. It's not really possible. Of course, this brings a little bit more difficulty for the game developer, because the bots would obviously need to be scaled to whatever rank you're in, and I'm sure this is difficult, but something needs to be done here, because as of right now, the game is not respected enough to where people actually care about their rank, and this is a really bad thing, because for the game to become respected and to become well seen, people need to have fun, and you are not going to have fun if you just get steamrolled by 5 people. And I think that's it, really. Oh yeah, the ranking system, of course. The ranking system is okay. It's taken straight out of Fortnite, and Fortnite have probably taken it straight from League of Legends. You know, it follows that linear path of bronze 1, bronze 2, bronze 3, bronze 4. Okay, so it's a reverse of League of Legends, right? Once you hit bronze 4, you can rank up and become silver 1, and then it just continues like that. It's good. I always appreciated League of Legends ranking system, and I'm sure that because of that, I'm also gonna appreciate this ranking system. Sure, the ranking doesn't mean much right now because of the constant levers, but once that's been taken care of, I feel like this system is well enough to actually make it for a pleasant ranking experience. So let's get back to the main question at hand: should you play it? And I don't think you should, at least not as your main shooter, and definitely not if you're trying to play competitively by any means. Sure, it's fun, you should go and check it out, but compared to something like Counter-Strike, Valorant, Overwatch, I don't see why you would play this over them. There is something to be said about availability. You can play this on the PlayStation, you can play this on the Xbox, you can play it, wherever you can play Fortnite. That's really good. And I feel like if you want to play something a bit more like Counter-Strike, your options are very limited, at least on these consoles. But no, as of right now, the game is too limited, the maps are too small, and the sound system is just completely trash. But once that gets fixed in, I don't know, say 6 months time, I think this game could really become something. There's so much potential here. I myself is probably gonna play it a little bit, but no, you're not gonna have fun ranking in it, that's for sure. So thank you for watching the review, and I'll see you next time.